What if a hidden policy decision was quietly reshaping what's on your store shelves, making basic goods harder to find and much more expensive? From electronics to groceries, Americans are beginning to feel the squeeze, but most don't realize why it's happening. Could tariffs, those behind-the-scenes taxes on imports, be the invisible force behind rising prices and disappearing products? Stick around, because in just a few minutes, we'll reveal which products could vanish first, and why even big-box retailers are bracing for impact. Have you noticed your favorite store shelves looking a little emptier lately? Or maybe that item you used to grab without thinking is now missing or way more expensive. It's not your imagination. Behind the scenes, a massive economic shift is quietly unfolding, and it all traces back to one word: tariffs. Now, you might not have seen completely empty shelves yet, but retail experts and CEOs are warning that shortages are coming. Some stores are already struggling to restock. Others are preparing for disruptions in the next few months. In this video, we're diving deep into how rising tariffs are putting America's retail supply chains at risk, leading to potential shortages, rising prices, and major ripple effects for families everywhere. And later in this video, you'll learn exactly which household goods could be affected first and what you can do to prepare. Roughly 30% to 40% of consumer products sold in U.S. stores are made in China. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, China is consistently one of America's top import sources for goods like apparel, electronics, household tools, and toys. Look around your house, your smartphone, your TV, your sneakers, your kitchen blender, even your kid's backpack. Chances are Made in China is stamped somewhere on it. It's not just big electronics. It's toys, school supplies, furniture, cookware, holiday decorations, basic clothing, light bulbs, you name it. But what happens when these goods are suddenly too expensive or unavailable? You'll see that unfold in just a moment. In early 2025, the Trump administration introduced sweeping tariffs, a 10% universal tariff on all imports, and specific tariffs up to 145% on thousands of Chinese-made goods. 145%. Let that sink in. That's not just a small penalty, it's a near-death sentence for affordability. At 145%, it becomes practically impossible for many Chinese goods to be sold profitably in U.S. markets. Either the price skyrockets or companies simply stop bringing those goods in altogether. While some officials have suggested that U.S. retailers or Chinese suppliers might absorb the costs, experts and retailers themselves say that's unlikely. Both sides are operating on thin margins, and they're already passing those higher costs on to consumers. In fact, some Chinese e-commerce platforms like Temu and Shein have started itemizing tariffs directly on checkout receipts. It's a clear signal. The extra cost is landing on the shopper, not the seller. And here's the catch. There are currently no direct trade talks between the U.S. and China. It could get worse before it gets better. And wait until you hear which global supply chain alternatives aren't ready to pick up the slack. Can't we just buy from somewhere else? Not so fast. While countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico are ramping up manufacturing, they cannot match China's production scale, speed, or specialization, at least not anytime soon. Building a global supply chain takes years, even under ideal conditions. New factories must be built, workers must be trained, ports and shipping routes must be developed. And guess what? Every company in the world is now rushing to the same few countries, creating bottlenecks and labor shortages. Another major roadblock? Cost. Establishing new manufacturing hubs requires billions of dollars in investment, and many companies are reluctant to commit to such massive spending without long-term certainty on trade policy. The risk is simply too high for most. So replacing Chinese manufacturing isn't a 2025 solution. It's a 2030 or beyond project. And as you'll see next, American shoppers aren't waiting around to see what happens. Shoppers are catching on, and fast. According to Reuters and CBS News, many American households have already started stockpiling essentials. They're filling their garages and basements with electronics like phones and laptops, basic clothing, canned food and pantry staples, cleaning supplies and toiletries. Why? Because they know shortages are coming, and higher prices too. Panic buying patterns are starting to echo early pandemic behavior, just fueled by tariffs this time. And it's not just the public. Retail giants are now issuing urgent warnings to the government. It's not just consumers getting nervous. Major U.S. retailers are publicly warning the White House about disaster on the horizon. Top executives from Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and others told President Trump's team that empty shelves could become widespread by fall 2025. Critical shortages in electronics, apparel, home goods, and school supplies are likely. Container shipping costs have skyrocketed, squeezing already fragile margins. One executive warned that goods could run dry in weeks without action. And coming up, find out exactly which product categories could be hardest hit. Experts predict the biggest shortages will hit in consumer electronics, phones, TVs, tablets, apparel, especially affordable brands, toys, holiday items, kids' birthday gifts, home goods, furniture, kitchen appliances, personal care products, basic hygiene items. Anything heavily dependent on Chinese production could either vanish from shelves or double in price. But it doesn't stop at missing products. In the next section, we'll reveal how this could ripple through the entire economy, from your paycheck to your retirement fund. The damage won't stay confined to retail. Just in, a new report from The Guardian confirms that the U.S. economy slowed dramatically, falling by 0.3% in the first quarter of 2025, largely due to the sweeping tariffs recently enacted. Economists now warn that this slowdown could be just the beginning. This economic dip isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a larger chain reaction. When imports slow down and prices rise, it chokes spending and forces businesses to scale back. That means fewer jobs, less investment, and yes, more empty shelves. Economists warn that high tariffs could cut U.S. GDP by up to 1%, wipe out 750,000 to 1 million jobs, especially in retail, logistics, and construction, fuel higher inflation, hitting families already stretched by rising housing and food costs. With consumers pulling back and inventories tightening, shortages could grow even more severe, especially as businesses hesitate to restock during uncertain times. And if consumer confidence keeps falling, we could tip toward a full recession. Even your 401k or IRA could feel the sting as stock markets react to weaker earnings from retail giants. And there's one more cost you probably haven't considered yet, the long-term hit to America's reputation. It's not just wallets at risk. America's global brand is taking a hit too. Ken Griffin, CEO of Citadel, recently warned that escalating trade wars and tariff policies are tarnishing America's image as a reliable business partner. Other countries are already deepening ties with each other, bypassing the U.S. to protect themselves from economic uncertainty. In the long term, these policies could isolate American businesses, shrink export markets, and cost the economy even more. And before we wrap up, let's talk about what you can actually do to protect yourself. So what can you do when the shelves start to look emptier and prices keep climbing? Here are 5 practical ways to protect yourself and your family. 1. Shop early and smart. Buy seasonal items like school supplies and holiday gifts well ahead of time. Stock up gradually on non-perishables and personal care essentials while supplies are still available. 2. Stick to a flexible budget. Prepare for fluctuations in prices. Expect everyday goods like clothing, small appliances, and electronics to cost more. Adjust discretionary spending and monitor weekly expenses to absorb unexpected price jumps. 3. Support local and domestic products. When possible, buy from U.S.-based or regional businesses that rely less on imported goods. Businesses may also be more transparent about inventory and pricing. 4. Stay informed, not alarmed. Follow reliable economic updates and retail supply news. The more you know, the better you can plan. Set alerts from trusted sources about tariffs, shipping trends, and key product shortages. 5. Diversify your investments and savings. If you're an investor, speak with a financial advisor about hedging against volatility. Stay cautious with large purchases or loans until the economic picture becomes clearer. The bottom line? The hidden price tag of tariffs is more than a few extra dollars at checkout. It's a broader impact on shelves, on savings, and on stability. By preparing now, you'll avoid last-minute scrambles, overspending, or missing out on essentials. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to prepare too. Until next time, stay smart, stay informed, and keep looking deeper.